Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Peak and Flow podcast. My name is Dave Nixon, and firstly, apologies for my absence in recording the last couple of weeks. I've been a bit off, really. I just really tired, and even went to the doctor, got my bloods done for the first time in a while. They all came back normal. However, I was feeling a bit off the last couple of weeks, and then I had a number of team members away, so I was probably had my priorities shuffled around momentarily. However, back on board this week, and especially moving into the new year, looking forward to some projects that are coming up and to be finalized. However, what I want to talk about today kind of speaks to what's been going on for me on the back end recently, feeling a bit up and down. It's a good lesson and a good reminder to take on board regardless of the situation one is in. But more importantly, definitely something that for me it has been in the last couple of weeks, taking stock as I've been both feeling run down, feeling exhausted, not feeling, for lack of a better word, myself. And then even with my sport, cricket, going into a slump with that as well, and sort of looking at multiple areas of my life where I'm like, I'm not actually dealing with stress that well at the moment. My patience is less, my boundaries are blurred, my focus is less, all of this. And so commonly when people get into a difficult period like that or similar, could be much, much more stressful, could be less stressful, it's up to the person. It's time for them to take stock, which is common, right? Things didn't go to plan, things went bad, like, fuck, where did I go wrong? What am I doing different? All of that sort of stuff. And that's what I've done more recently, is like, hang on a sec, why am I not getting the results that I want, that I was getting before? In whatever context. And here's the important and powerful lesson. Yes, it's important to take stock when things aren't going well. It's more important, or just as important really, but I'm going to place more emphasis on it. It's just as important to take stock when things are doing and going well. What am I doing? How am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I paying attention to? How am I making decisions? How is all of that occurring, and what choices am I making when things are going really, really well? Not just taking stock on that, taking stock on how well are things going that are in my control compared to me going, things are going well, to the things outside of my control. Because if we are constantly allowing ourselves to feel good or bad based upon things going well, but when we look at what things going well means, and it means that all of the things that are out of our control are occurring the way that I think they should, right? Then I'm setting myself up for failure long term, because I'm placing the strategy of I am good and well and things are going well when all of these external factors to me that I do not have control over, I may have influence over, but not control over, are actually occurring. That's a conditional well, if you may. It's going, when this occurs, then things are going well. When it doesn't occur though, then I'm not doing good. That's where the problem comes into play. How are you able to separate yourself from that and be able to go, what are my controllables that are in my control, that when I do them, I let go of the outcome. The outcome is what it is. But for me, I know that I'm doing the right things. I'm paying attention to the markers that allow me to perform at my best, to think clearly, to make decisions, to be fair, to be considerate, and so forth. And so the ability to take stock regardless of the outcome is so crucial. But more importantly, when things are going well, asking the questions, what is my thinking? What is my attention on? What is my intention? Am I aware of this? Right? If I was to write it down, what would it say? If I was to speak it to somebody, what would I say? But where are my thoughts at, and what's my focal point of attention? From there, it's going, how are my relationships? What influence are my relationships having on my current situation? What meaning have I brought to relationships? What value have I put on different types of relationships? Is my attention more focused around how other people perceive my success, or is it based upon whether or not I allow them to be their own individual with their own opinions that doesn't bother me or faze me whatsoever? From there, it's going, what happens for me in my body? Where is my focus point of attention within my body again? How do I know that I feel well and I can perform well? And I heard this beautiful line the other day, and what it said is, and it was about a manager, and I cannot remember the manager. If I do remember, I'll pass it on. But it said, we wanted to win, and the manager came into this team, might have been a football team, for example, and they said, not because of, but despite of. And it changed this mindset to be like, we want to win despite the fact that we lost X, Y, and Z people to injury, despite the fact that we're coming from behind, despite, as opposed to we're winning because of all of these things potentially. And what it means there is that we're able to go, even though I'm not feeling my best, I'm able to perform. How do I perform then? What are the markers for me, my mind and body in this case? Like, how's my breathing? Where can I pay attention to, or what am I paying attention to within my body that allows me to know that's what I do when I perform at my best? From there we go, what are the systems in place? What are the procedures in place? What's the natural environment? What's the anchors that I have in place that allow me to be able to be in a position to perform at my best? And so being able to take stock, and you can grab those questions that I just asked you and then answer them all when you're performing at your best, and then answer them again when you're not performing at your best, and see what the contrast is. Because I can assure you it's your contrast, right? Recently for me, when it comes to my sport of cricket, I started to tweak a little things. I got some runs at the start of the season, so then I started to be like, I'm meant to be getting runs. So my thinking with cricket shifted. My thinking with my position shifted. I didn't have that self-pressure at the start of the season, which means I played a game more freely. When I started to put pressure on myself, I started to have my attention shift. I started to tweak my technique a little bit, all on behalf of better. There was a positive intention behind it, but it gave me the opposite effect. And so being able to take stock allows me to go, hang on a sec, what am I doing when I'm doing this really, really well? When I'm enjoying it? What are the markers for me in mind, body, and beyond that allow me to be able to really be in this moment, be in this, engage in this situation? And I'm using, obviously, cricket as an example. Anyone that knows me or plays with me would know my pain more recently, but it's not that's important here. It's whatever context you want to put it in. Business, relationships, study, your own sport, it does not matter. Whatever it is that you're engaged in. And I'll finish on this note, and it's a quote that I've mentioned time and time again, and it's from Tim Galloway's book, The Inner Game of Tennis. And he says, you don't use focus to improve your tennis, use tennis to improve your focus. And what's really important there, and he's using the word focus, you could use flow, zone, whatever terminology you want to use, but what he's saying there is that you don't try and access that so that you play tennis better and swap tennis for sales conversations, business, for study, for whatever it is. You don't do that so you can do that better. You use the engaged activity so that you learn how to access that state of focus better, so that you have access to that regardless of the context, cross-contextual, so you can perform at your best and be at the moment. And the way that we do that is to know what are the markers for ourselves. I can take stock on this. What are the markers for ourselves that allow us to perform at our best? And if you don't know that, start there, because maybe you've made it too complicated. Maybe it needs to come back to what am I doing on the inside that allows me to perform my best on the outside. So really simple. Make it simple. Start simple. Always start basic and build. Don't go complex and cut. And on that note, team, I'm done. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean the world to me if you would share it with someone else. If you haven't already, you can find out more about our retreats and my book, Minding Yourself, in the show notes. But that's me done. I'm out. Until next time, peace and pizza. I'll see you soon.